Welcome to Rad Chat. I'm your host, Brandilynn, and today we have another New Jerseyan on the podcast. We have Nick Spiller, the bassist of A Boy Named John, and also he's a marketing coordinator, so we're going to get into all of these crazy fun things. So thank you so much for jumping on Zoom with me.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Of course. So I always kind of like to start with like the background of how we know each other, just for like whoever's watching. So we obviously went to school together. I was a grade older than you, and shout out to Parsippany, which I got out of, but are you still in the local area of Parsippany?
Yeah, right now I am looking to leave as soon as possible.
I feel like once you just go through Parsippany, you're over Parsippany, you know? Like
Yeah.
people that don't know New Jersey, it's kind of like a small town, but a big town because there's all like the surrounding areas that are like still Parsippany, like Hiawatha, like Parsippany. Like it's big but not big, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's such a huge it's a big town in terms of like different sectors of it. Like I also used to deliver pizza in Parsippany, and like you go through so much gas. This town is actually like 10 miles. I think it's like 10-mile radius. It's crazy.
Oh
It's
wow.
it's a lot. Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's funny. That's a good perspective
Yeah.
to have because when you're like a delivery driver, you're knowing every single sector. You're right. That's cool.
Yeah, yeah.
And then also too, we were the kids in high school who were like emo kids, and I'm proud of it. Like I'm still an emo girl. Like music and concerts, we always had the same perspective of like bands we liked. So we always
Yep.
got along really well. And so yeah, that's I don't even remember really. I think we first became friends because I was best friends with Amanda and you were best friends with Michael, and we just always hung out in that sense. That's my memory, I think, of the beginning of how I became friends with you.
Yeah, I think that's how it went too. And like I maybe we like talked on like Facebook or something too from like shows. I don't know. I just remember
Yeah.
like stuff like that too. Yeah.
Nice. Well, I just always like to start with that. And it's so crazy like how time flies. Like I feel like posts off camera we were talking about like how young we were and like how old
Yeah.
so it's so funny. So I think it's super cool to reconnect with people that I loved in high school. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I was looking forward to this. I mean, like we really haven't talked in a long, and it feels like a long time, and it's good to reconnect. And like this whole time period we're in, it feels good to reconnect with people.
Yeah, exactly. Especially because, like, oh my God, like, I just miss talking and seeing people. So, F you, COVID. So, you're right. Like, even if it's on Zoom, I will take it. And you're right. Like,
Yeah,
it just happens. Like, we obviously went to college, did our own thing. And so much experience has happened in this time frame. So, it's cool to reconnect. But
absolutely.
this episode is about you. So let's first get into how you became in A Boy Named John. But let's also start with the basics of how you got into music and how you learned bass and etc.
Cool. So, I never really had like in my like early childhood, I never really had a desire for music. I know you hear a lot of musicians and artists are like, "Oh, I've been like into music since I came out of the womb and all that stuff." But for me, I didn't really find it until I was like maybe in seventh grade or so. I went on like a vacation with some family friends in like Florida or something. I think yeah, it was seventh grade, and they were the two boys that were in the family were into guitar, and they talked about it that entire trip, and they showed immediately I was like, all right, when I go home, taking guitar lessons, and that's what's going to happen. So from seventh grade until now, I've been into music, and it's just a lot has changed. And then I've always wanted to like throughout high school, I always wanted to be in a band. Like looked for so many members, like got into like metalcore and got into punk music, and I had a bunch of good friends who loved that stuff, but they never played instruments. So it was always hard to find that group of people. And every band I tried starting just flopped like horribly. Like uh,
Oh,
drummers would come and go, and then like they hype it up, and then we jam, and then it'd be like, okay, what's the next step? And there was never a next step. It's just kind of for fun and just to see where that went. But so I was always close with my guitar player, Jack Lips. Always been close with him. He went to my elementary school. He's like a few neighborhoods away, and like we were always kind of like mutual friends and stuff, and we had this common love for music. And same bands we used to listen to all the time. I remember like Bullet for My Valentine and stuff at the
Nice.
time.
Throwback. They're
Yeah.
actually, I just heard they have like a new song, I'm pretty sure, and it's pretty good.
Is it? I haven't listened to their new stuff at all. I listened to Tears Don't Fall yesterday for like the first
Yeah,
time in forever.
classic, classic.
That song's so good. It's so
It's
good.
still so good. I love when you can appreciate an old throwback too, and immediately, like, I don't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, but I'll know all those lyrics.
Yeah, yeah. And like that song specifically takes me back to like the early stages of me playing guitar. Cause like I remember getting into them in like seventh and eighth grade.
Mhm.
And like that was like the first like metal band with screaming. It was like them and Killswitch Engage. I was like
Mhm.
obsessed with them. But yeah, so Jack and I would just like talk over like Facebook and stuff and see each other in school and like talk about music and everything. And he was in A Boy Named John at the time, so I should
Mhm.
definitely like explain that band. So A Boy Named John has been a thing since like freshman year of high school for in my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
Um, I like used to go to their shows. I used to like listen to their like music that they started putting out at the time, and I was always like I had classes with Chris, our singer, and yeah, I've always had like somewhat of a connection with everyone in the band. And one day, Jack texted me. He's like, "Hey, would you ever be interested in playing bass?" And at the time, I was like just all about guitar. I wanted to play guitar in a band. That was all I ever wanted to do. And anytime someone in like I was trying to join a band, they were like, I was like, someone's got to be the bassist, and it's never going to be me. I'm never going to play bass ever. Like that's not my thing. Never going to do that.
That's
And
funny.
then yeah, Jack texted me. He's like, "Hey, we need a bass player. Are you interested?" And I was like, I don't want to play bass, but I want to be in a band really badly. So,
That's always
fuck it, why not? I'll do it. So I was like, yeah, why not? Let's do it. And that changed my life. That text right there. So, yeah, went to the first practice with their old bass player there. It was kind of awkward at first, but it was fine because he's a great guy.
good.
And yeah, and then just dove into it head first, and then took over like a lot of the management stuff really early on. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, so that was like the very early stages of the band.
How is it
Um,
when you actually, like, first off, did you self-teach yourself guitar or did you take lessons?
I took lessons for about 3 years. My guitar teacher Brett he was like a huge influence on my music taste early on. Like he would give me like mixtapes of CDs, like of all like the best metalcore stuff. Like he'd show me Under Oath. He got me into Killswitch. Bless the Fall, I remember, was another band that he would show me.
Oh,
Um,
bands.
yeah, and like he was in a band called Trees Above Mandalay. Did you ever
Oh,
listen
I
to them?
remember them. Yeah, 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 I remember them. I
Yeah, yeah.
think at that time too, like back in the day.
So he was playing in that band and showing me some other locals and stuff and showing me his music. And he was nuts on stage. He was a crazy guitar player, always like moving around and having a lot of fun. And like that's something that I watched him do, and I was like, oh my God, I got to do that too. And he definitely influenced like my stage presence. Like the people that know him and have seen A Boy Named John always like say that, which is really
Oh,
funny. Like they just see that in him or in me. Um, so yeah, that's always like yeah. So he was a huge influence on my music taste and the way I play and everything. So
shout out to Brett. That's cool
yeah,
because I feel like you always need a mentor to start off with. And that's cool that he not only influenced your music, but then your kind of style on stage. And they also say stage presence is not, it doesn't always come natural to some people. So that's cool that you kind of had an influence there.
yeah. And for me, that was always like immediate. Like I never thought of stage presence as a thing you have to do. It just happens.
Okay.
Especially like the chemistry that like A Boy Named John has. Like we've known each other since we were, like I said, like we were in freshman year of high school. So even younger than that, like before we even started the band, we've known each other. And it's just like rocking out with your friends and having a good time. And I feed off the energy like from the crowd too. And like when we play like our smaller intimate shows and like our fan like ones that are for our fans, it's crazy. It's such an outer body experience, and I love that, and I miss it so much right now. We haven't played a show. The last show we played was February 1st of 2020.
It's so crazy. So it's like coming up on a year. Like, oh my.
Yeah,
we'll get into more COVID stuff, but more basics. So how was it then? Did you already know how to play bass when you were going into the band, or did you have to learn that?
Not at all. So,
It's funny because I
uh,
used to play bass, so I always like love when I hear bass stories.
yeah, so I feel like this is not like anything special of this because I feel like most bass players go through this, but essentially I started out as a guitar player. At the time, I think I was playing for 5 years, if anything. Yeah, around 5 years because I joined my senior year of high school. And I like I said, I tried staying away from bass until that moment. I just happened to fall into my lap. Um, but yeah, I didn't know how to play bass. Like I didn't realize it was a whole separate instrument. It's definitely different, and a lot of people give bass like shit for it being easy, which it's not. If it's easy, you're not playing it well.
Mhm.
That's what I've seen. I guess I've experienced.
I mean, you
Um,
have to be able to stretch your hands so much. Like,
yeah,
it's all right there.
yeah, exactly. And like I've been getting into 5 string bass, which is a whole other story.
Oh,
Um, Yeah. So at first, I was known as like a guitar player that just played bass,
okay.
and our other guitarist, Josh, always made fun of me, and not even made fun of me, but like critiqued me in a wholesome way. Like
Mhm.
he's a teacher. He's such a teacher at heart. Like he loves teaching. Um, so um, in the beginning, he was trying to show me like the proper techniques with bass and how to avoid playing and like making parts like song parts like a guitar player and more like a bass player.
Mhm.
And you have to learn about going around the roots, the fifths, and all of the intervals that mesh with the rest of the band. And it's such that like the bass is so cool to me now. Like, well, since then too, and like it's just grown on me so much that it's become my primary instrument.
Oh, that's
Um, Yeah, and the thing I love about it, especially when we're tracking music, it's usually the last thing that we track or like second to last because it's the glue that meshes like the guitars, the drums, and the vocals together. Because it's fun. You get to like pick different pieces up from everyone's playing and like heighten them in whatever I'm doing on bass. So um,
because I mean, and that's really important that you emphasize that because people do give bass players shit, and if you don't have the bass, you immediately notice it. The reason that it's so good is because you don't notice it at first, unless you're like Red Hot Chili Peppers and they do so many bass lines. But it's so important you need the bass because if they don't have it or the bass is off, like you'll notice it right away.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you have a shitty bass player, it's going to be pretty clear. It's almost like having a shitty drummer too. I think a shitty drummer is like the worst thing to have in a band,
Yeah.
because it's the most obvious. Like that is just your singer could be okay, your guitarist can be all right, your bass player needs to be good, but if he or she or they is decent, they can get by. But a drummer is like
The
that's
kryptonite.
yeah, that's the obvious one. So
So that's cool that you said that. Like it kind of tonally gets everyone together.
yeah, absolutely.
So now that that's pretty cool too. Like that's a cool story. Like you were so against bass, and now you've realized so much potential with bass that you're like way more into it now. That's pretty cool arc.
Yeah. Do you remember Mr. Bush from high school?
What teacher was he? Like what? You like the music teacher? No,
No, he was a bio teacher.
bio teacher. Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I'm starting to come.
He also he also led the marching band and stuff. He's now vice principal, which is crazy.
Oh, really? What happened?
Yeah,
Is Mulrooney still the principal?
yeah, he's still the principal, and then Keith Bush is now he's been vice principal for a while now. I think a couple of
That's
years.
pretty
So
funny. I mean, you guys got lucky because I graduated before Mulrooney came.
yeah,
Just know everybody loved him, so it was like, of
yeah,
course, a freaking course. We had
yeah,
vets who, like, I mean, I never really got in trouble, so I didn't really have to deal with her, but I just know she like kind of sucked.
yeah. The whole mood of the school changed when Mulrooney came in.
That's what they
Um,
said. Yeah,
yeah, he's the
it's so
man. He's
crazy.
great.
Like one person can change your whole high school career.
Yeah, because he's so invested. He really cares about the students. He really does. But yeah, so anyway, like so Mr. Bush, I remember in my sophomore year of high school, he was like, "We need a bass player for the marching band. Nick, would you be interested?" And I was like, "No, I'm not playing bass. I don't want to play bass. Like, please keep that away from me." And I regret that so much because I would have learned so much from doing that.
Mhm.
Also, like part of my band was like in marching band, like Chris and
Oh
Paul
yeah, a lot of
and
them were.
Josh. They were in marching band. So I feel like that would have been another way for me to connect with them, and also before I joined the band too, and
Mhm.
would have been great for my musicality. So
Did you ever
wish I
see
did that.
them afterwards and be like, man, I really regret that?
Yeah, it was like we reflect on those days because I did attend like a practice to just check it out and see what it was like, and thought it was okay. Like I thought it was all right, but it just wasn't for me.
Mhm.
But we talk about it now, and like I'm like I wish I did that. And Josh is always like, "Yeah, you should have done it. Like it would have been so good for you." You know?
That's funny. I feel like another misconception is, or at least in our high school, I know some other high schools really pride their marching band, but our high school shit on marching band. Like our marching band was so good because they were better than the football team, but like it wasn't like cool to be in marching band. But I feel like for kids that loved concerts, like that was the place to be. So I always wondered why there's this misconception.
Yeah, it's that like that I don't know, the 80s movie trope with like the jocks and the band geeks. Like it's just always gonna live. But um yeah, our marching band kicked so much ass. They won nationals and stuff, and
They were
like
like really good. So I'm like,
they
why
were really good.
hate on marching band? Like they're so good. Like our football team was trash. People just go to
Yeah.
football games to hang out, but like they were trash.
Do you know that they're good now? They're
Really?
actually like yeah, they're really good now. I've
That's
been hearing through the grapevine around Parsippany, but yeah,
wow.
the team is really good now. Like they're stars. I don't know. I've been hearing that they've been like doing really, really well.
Sorry,
So
Parsippany. During my time, we sucked.
yeah, we're bad, really
How
bad.
crazy. But I always remembered our marching band was so freaking good. And then like marching band comes to Disneyland, and Parsippany came to Disneyland because I'm friends with this kid Tyler, and he was in Disneyland for marching band. I was like, oh my god, like how crazy.
That's cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
forgot they
I
do that.
always wanted to know like what do people in marching band think of that, or like yeah, because most of Boy Named John is in marching band or wasn't in.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So
So then, as the evolution of so I guess to also say like in our high school, like Boy Named John was the only band I want to say like they were pretty known because Parsippany like it was the only really band we had. At least that's what
yeah,
my memory was. And so because I remember like hearing that they were like you guys were a band and you were going to play shows because I was really into the local scene, and so I'd always be going to these shows, and I was obviously friends with you. So then how after all these times do you guys make it work? Like you've known each other for so many years and you're friends, but now like touring and like being a band and putting out music and collaborating, how do you guys make that work so many years later?
a lot of it is like the chemistry that we've had over this period of time. We've like this band has been the only band that these members have been in for
Mhm.
like that's it. Like they haven't been in any other bands, and like I would even say so myself. Like the attempted bands that I were in before weren't even names. It was just jam sessions. So like this has been the only band we've ever been in together or at all. Um, so like in the early days too, they were like heavily involved with the local scene before I was involved with it. They were playing with like This Good Robot and Patent Pending. Like they looked up to them so much, and Survey Says too. Um,
That's how I feel like I really known about them because I was friends with Patent Pending and I'd go to all their shows. And then This Good Robot was obviously the brother of Patent Pending. So yeah, I remember them always being around too. Like I feel like that's how I knew the members of A Boy Named John, like Jack and them. Like obviously I knew them in high school, but I feel like I knew them better at the music scene.
Yeah, and that's something I wish I was more involved with too growing up. It wasn't until I found it through Boyne and John, like towards the end of high school for me. Like I would go to their shows, but I'd stick around for them and maybe like I remember Jack saying you have to stay for This Good Robot, and I'm like okay. And like it was just crazy the first time seeing them, you know, not expecting to see a band in like what was at the time Canvas Clash going so fucking hard.
Dude, right? Like, oh my,
Yeah.
you ever been to the meat locker?
Oh my God.
Dude, patent penning in the meat locker would make like the walls sweat. It was nuts.
Yeah,
Nuts.
that place is disgusting.
So, it's like such a like hardcore place. Like you need to go there, but it's also disgusting.
Yeah, no, like I have a lot of memories of that place, a lot of good and a lot of horrible, horrible memories. And I think this
Oh,
is how it is. It's like there's
yeah.
never like an like
Hmm.
like meat locker experience. It's either like shit or like incredible.
That's true. That's true. That's
Yeah, and like I keep seeing jokes on like DIY band Twitter where it's like if you play the meat locker, you don't need the COVID vaccine, you're fine, you're immune.
Dude, if you've been to like any mosh pit, you're probably good.
Yeah, you're fine. Yeah.
That's cool though that they have only really known each other and they've made it work. Because you feel like in history of bands, there's always some type of drama or something. So I think that's super cool about Boy Named John.
Yeah, so we have this system because we do fight. Like there's no bands, like no group of people can go so long without fighting and there being any drama. Like there's always drama, but um not to the point where it's going to break everything up. It's, we've known each other for so long, we're brothers at this point, and you have to work through your problems. You have to, if someone's having a bad day, got to push it aside. And like we look out for each other when things are really shitty. Like if we're at our lows, like we're friends. That's what it really comes down to.
That's
The music is just a huge part of it, and it's a big thing that keeps us together. But when shit hits the fan, we know who to rely on. So
that's awesome. So, two questions. One, how would you describe a Boy Named John's musical sense or tone or genre? And then two, how do you get into booking shows?
cool. So a boy named John currently right now is, I would say, like progressive alternative rock, I guess. So like if you put like Circa Survive, Coheed and Cambria, and Manchester Orchestra together, so like kind of like indie-ish in a way. Um, I guess that would be like an amalgamation of what we are, but we're really trying to change that. We've been getting into some like, I don't know, a lot of genres lately. We've been just trying to blend all these things together. Um, so yeah, that's what we sound like currently, and that's what our most current EP is. The the genre or the feeling of it, the vibe of it is like mostly like progressive, post hardcore, emo, all that stuff. Um, and then booking shows, it depends. There's different levels of booking shows. Um, the most like basic level, I guess, would be like the DIY basement or DIY like venue type booking where it's a lot of knowing people in the scene and knowing who books at these venues, who plays these venues. It's a lot of networking with bands that we're friends with and reaching out via email, or it used to be Facebook was a huge part of it, but it's more professional to do email. But yeah, so mostly like through friends and like promoters and local venue owners. That's like the mid tier or bottom tier. And then like the mid tier being like touring around like the country and stuff. Like it's pretty similar to that, except you have to like really network with other bands from other states. And Facebook is a huge part of that. There's a DIY like Facebook page where a lot of bands just like reach out and see if they can book around the country. And then there's like a higher level of booking, which is like playing Starland Ballroom or any like established like huge, or I would say like 500 cap to like plus. Like you have to deal with booking agents, talent buyers, all of those people, and like that's a whole other monster. But that I enjoy because it's like the real thing.
Yeah.
Um, and like playing Starland Ballroom and like House of Independence and stuff, like those have been places that are just every time we play there, it's like mind blowing that we even just did that.
Dude, playing Starland Ballroom, like, holy shit. That's like, for people in New Jersey, Starland Ballroom and I feel like PNC are the biggest venues we have of like iconic people play this stage. Like, holy shit. Also, like, Warped Tour when Warped Tour was around. But
Yeah.
Now that you brought that up, how was it to play Starland? See, that's a show I wish I could have been at. Like, I didn't get to go to that, obviously, but like that would have been so fucking rad to like see someone like, you're from my high school. Like, someone in our high school got out and is like doing shit. Like, it's so cool. So like, talk about that experience.
Yeah, so we got lucky because there was a time they had like a few talent buyers in at the time that were just like down to play or down to put on like any local band. Like they were really, really pushing that. And we got lucky once, for the first time, because Yumi at Six was playing at Starland and they needed an opener because they're not that huge in the US. They're huge in the UK. Like they'll play like Wembley Stadium, but here like it's hard for them to play a small venue. Um, so they needed an opening act, and we like applied on like Starland's face our website because they have like an application you can do to submit your band, and we just got I guess the luck of the draw, and they asked us to play. They asked us to sell tickets, which is common practice, even though it kind of sucks. But yeah, that show was incredible. It happened, and it changed all of our lives because it like just opened up like a huge world to us, and we never got to play a stage like that, and we learned a lot because we were stupid and didn't know what we were doing. And we've only played small venues, and as soon as you get put on a big stage you get awestruck and you're just like, what the fuck am I doing? Like,
More so
and you
like
want to make sure.
stupid, but like young. You were just
Yeah, I would say like naive. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And you just want to make the sound guy happy, and their sound guy, I think it's LJ, JR. I forget which letters it is, but he's awesome. He taught us a lot, and like he was
Oh,
pretty like he gave us a lot of like tough love, which was good. Every time we played there. Um, yeah, so that one was like that show was great. That's actually where I got to meet my girlfriend too. Like,
shit.
yeah,
That's
it was
incredible. Oh my gosh.
yeah.
Like, holy shit, that's literally girl at the rock show moment. And I freaking
Yeah, absolutely.
holy shit, that's so magical. Oh my god. And also Yumi at Six is so awesome. Like what a show.
Yeah, and like they were supposed to play in New York that night or something, or 2 nights ago, and Josh, their singer, got sick, so they had to postpone the show, but it had to get moved to Starland. So that's
Oh,
also, I guess, why they needed a local opener. And who knows if that didn't happen, like I wouldn't have my girlfriend. It's like, or
dude,
that show wouldn't have happened too. It's just crazy how all that stuff comes together.
that is so fucking rad. Shout out to your girlfriend. I love. Um, that's incredible. And then did you guys and so how many times have you played Starland?
So we played two more times after that. The second time, I think the second time was with the Academy Is, and that was like they reached out to us. They're like, "Hey, the Academy is coming back. Like, they're not selling as many tickets as they hoped they would. Can you guys play? Because you guys did a great job with selling tickets last show." And we were like, yeah. They're like, even though it's 8 days out, can you sell like tickets? And we ended up selling a lot, like in 8 days. It was crazy. It was
How
like,
many can you say how many you had to sell?
so the typical amount they ask bands to sell like local openers is 200 tickets.
Mm.
And the first show with Yumi at Six, we almost reached that. And if you sell like 100, they're happy. Um, and if you sell like all of them, obviously they'll be really stoked about that. But with that show, they were like, sell as many as you can. If you can reach like 100 or something like that, that'd be awesome. And we got really close to it, but they were still really thrilled about it.
That's
And so much so that they added us to another show the following month.
oh dude, that's sick. See, that's cool. Like
Yeah.
you have a good connection with them, which is also really good for your band.
Yeah, and we miss playing there. Like they haven't had like as many local openers in a while, and they've had so they had a change in staff too. So now the person who was booking us then books at House of Independence now, and he loves
Oh,
us. Mike Lawrence is the man.
shout
So
out.
he got us. Yeah, so he got us on a bunch of other shows, which happened 2 years ago now at this point. Um, so yeah, so he's a huge part of like us getting those opportunities. But yeah, so he also added us onto who was on the show. It was Never Shout Never,
Oh,
uh, Metro Station,
oh my god.
and Water Parks at the time too.
They're really big now because water park is big now because they got taken under Good Charlotte's wing, and
Yeah.
Charlotte, like, blew them up.
Yeah, the Madden brothers are like they're really good managers.
Dude, I just love that. I actually met Benji Madden in Hollywood when I first moved out here. And he was
That's crazy.
I was like, oh, I'm gonna go to Amoeba because I'm this like rocker chick. I need to be there. And so I went there and I bumped into him. He was really nice. And that was when they were promoting their solo Madden Brothers album, which I loved. So it was really cool.
That's awesome.
But also Throwback to the Academy is because I remember they came back, I want to say 2016, and I went to that first show in New York that they had, and it literally was like your emo dreams, and it was the best thing in life. So that is so rad. You played with them, like,
yeah.
I've actually met William Beckett at Warped Tour like really quickly because they're always trying to run around, and I met him. The year I wore red, I met William Beckett.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. How many pairs of those leggings do you have? You're like famous at Warped Tour.
Dude, I feel like my only claim to fame is I was like a little Warped Tour famous in New Jersey. At least only.
Absolutely.
I actually would buy them that year, and then they were garbage after that. Like, there was blood and sweat and dirt and gravel from falling, like, all over those shits. And half the time, I don't even know if it was my blood. Wild. Because I want to say I started going to Warped Tour in 2009. And I just wore a really hideous, embarrassing outfit because I was like young. And then the next year, 2010, I started the colors and the rad girl shirt.
Yeah.
But yeah, those would get trashed, dude. There would be like holes in them. I had one time, I want to say this was probably Bamboozle. They ripped, like, I don't know what the fuck happened. I had to tie them to make sure like I didn't have a wardrobe malfunction. Like rip the other side to like tie them together. Like some of them I barely made it through that shit. But that's cool.
So funny.
I remember too, I would always, anytime I would be in the crowd, I would only find you by crowd surfing. I'd be like, oh shit, there's Nick. I have so many memories of finding you at Warped Tour while I was crowd surfing.
Yeah, Jack and I always like wonder every year. We're like, all right, are we going to see Brandy? Like, when is this going to happen?
So fun. I think it was so fun too for people like you and Jack who like thought like it was cool. Like, oh my god, there she is! Like, and actually like because I feel like in high school I was so weird. Like I was a weird girl, and I got like really bullied and made fun of. So like times like where I would see you guys at a concert was so fun for me because I'm like, these are my people.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I feel the exact same way. Yeah, oh my God. I miss Warped Tour so much.
Dude,
I don't know if you do too.
I miss Warped Tour so much. And I also have to say, I'm putting it out on the record, New Jersey Warped Tour is the best Warped Tour of all time. Like, I've been to the California one. It's like shit compared to New Jersey. Like, shit compared to New Jersey. The only one I will say in California that will be everything was I was at the Warped Tour where Linkin Park surprised everybody, and I got
oh my god.
And then, obviously rest in peace Chester, which saddest thing, but I was at that Warped Tour, so to see Linkin Park at Warped Tour was phenomenal. But other than that, New Jersey shits on everybody.
Yeah, I'm very jealous though of that.
Yeah, that was a crazy experience because it was like a rumor, and then all of a sudden, because there's a bunch of California Warped Tours. New Jersey, we really only have the PNC one and like Camden, but who really wants to go to Camden? And there's like the New York one, but we all know like the New Jersey one is the best one because New Jersey's hardcore scene is like so fucking dedicated, and California, everyone is like, like don't step on me or don't crowd surf or like, oh, there's no pit. It was not as fun, like you go to New Jersey, you're gonna have fun and no one gives a shit. And like people, I think I loved about Jersey Warped Tour is I would become friends with these people in the crowd. Like I would just crowd surf so much, and I knew the security guards that were going to catch me, which was so dope. And then you just remember them from last year's Warped Tour. Somehow you just remember, like, that dude's from last year. And I always loved it because it was such a community of people. Like, they would let you, like, run across the crowd and then jump in their hands and throw up. Like, everyone was so fun. And California was, like, not like that at all. So I missed it so much.
Yeah, I only went to one out of state Warped Tour because we were on tour. We were doing like a full US and we wanted to stop at Warped because our friends were working it and we also wanted to go because like why not? It was I think the last touring year that they were
Mm.
doing. And we were like we got to go, you know. So that one was crazy because it was in Houston
Oh,
and Houston heat is awful. And like we thought Warped Tour and Jersey was horrible. Like that was brutal. There was at one point though where it just started downpouring like a monsoon. And I remember we were watching Issues, and all of a sudden it was like raindrops the size of golf balls just smacking you in the face. And it was the best feeling ever because it was so
because
fucking
you're
hot.
so hot. That's pretty funny because that's like when you want rain to happen, when you're like, I'm so fucking hot.
Yeah, and it was like the middle of the afternoon when it's just like baking and it was awful. But like I think that saved everybody that day.
Yeah. Yeah, I've obviously predominantly been to New Jersey's Warped Tours, and then I went to two in California, and I went to one in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which wasn't terrible, but the PA one was weird because they're all in like an amphitheater, and you want it to be in the dirty, like gravel parking lot. Like,
Yeah,
it'd be in the nitty gritty. So take it what you can get, I guess. Did
yeah,
you guys
absolutely.
ever play Warped Tour?
No, we got close a couple times. We did like the Battle of the Bands thing, and that we got close. And then like towards the end of like that contest, we just got shat on by another band who was doing it, who was probably paying to get on, you know. But that was something we always wanted to do. We never got the chance, and I mean, if it ever came back, obviously we'd try and do it again. But
Yeah. I have a
that's
fear
something I wish.
they'll come back.
Yeah, so I heard a rumor that Franz from Attila is going to be taking over Warped Tour, and him and Kevin Lyman have been in talk about doing that trade over. So
That would
hopefully
be
something will
pretty
come out of
interesting.
that.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah,
interesting. I wonder how he would handle that because I know that guy is a little nuts. So it'd be
yeah,
interesting.
he's very nuts.
But, I can talk about Warped Tour all day. We can literally I have an idea. We'll have you come back and we'll do a only Warped Tour stories episode. I think that'll be really fun. Um,
Absolutely.
but anyways, back to a boy named John. So how was it? Obviously playing Starland is insane, and I can just assume how much of an experience that was for you to also go from attending concerts at Starland to playing Starland. So talk about that a little bit of the like emotions of that, but then also talk about how it is to transition to touring around the world. Like you said, you went to a US tour. Like, how is that experience?
Yeah, so playing Starland was like the most professional like show that we've ever experienced or like setting that we've ever experienced. And same with House of Independence too. Like they have their shit together and it's just such a beautiful venue and they treat their bands really well. Um, but that experience was great because it just felt like we were rock stars for like a night or a couple of nights when we played it. And it was at a point too where it was starting to kick off the momentum for the band. And it was at like a really like important spot in our career. Um, and going from that to like a basement show are two different feelings. Like basement shows are really cool because it's like the most intimate feeling that you can get playing music, but you're not making a lot of money and you're not playing to a lot of people, which has its ups and downs, but they're different experiences. And then the tour that we went on was a very DIY tour around the country. It was a lot of fun. We made like $0 on it, but ton of memories that we'll always have. And like it was something that like bands today are nervous to do something like that. And because it's such an old model of like being in a band, like you should really focus in on like your internet presence and all that. But like you miss out on experiences like touring. And after the whole, because of COVID, not touring has been the worst feeling. And it just made that connection that touring is such an important thing just as a band and just to grow and just an experience as a human in the world. Um, so I don't regret it at first. Like as soon as we came home, I was like, man, we shouldn't have done that. Like we spent so much money, we didn't play to really anybody, and like that was such a waste of time. But now in retrospect, it was. I'm glad we did it. I wish we could do it like as soon as the world opens up. I think that would be something I'd love to do. That's the first thing I would love to do, is play shows and do that around the country again. But yeah,
Cool
such
that
a
you
different
have that
experience.
perspective too. That's a really interesting perspective. I think as a fan, you want bands to tour. Like when the band goes on tour, you're super excited about it. But I also think when you're a new band, and that's what a lot of patent pending fans probably felt, is because they were so involved with their fans touring, and maybe they didn't make a lot of money, but like their fans grew and grew and grew. Do you feel like doing that tour and just like those smaller shows helped your fan base grow?
Yeah, and it also gave us a good experience of, like we definitely gained fans throughout that whole tour. Uh, Especially in certain states where like the shows were packed. Like there was like this one town that's like outside of Detroit called Hamtramck, and it was a mixed bill of hip hop bands and jazz, like not jazz, but like more, I would say like a funk indie band, I guess.
Okay.
And that show was crazy. We didn't expect it to be like packed, and it was a bar that had just a ton of kids in it, and it just had a really healthy music scene, and they loved us, and they bought our merch, they hung out with us, we got to know them. And like that was one of the highlights of the entire tour, and we weren't expecting it at all.
Yeah.
um and yeah, because there really isn't a good gauge of how many people are going to show up at the shows. So that was a nice surprise. But also like that entire tour was just a good experience because it showed us that we can do it, and we
Mhm.
booked it all ourselves. We didn't go through a booking agent. It was all like, we actually did a competition. Whoever can book, because we did it throughout like everyone in the band was responsible for booking shows. So there was a game we played where if you book the most shows, you get to choose where to sleep every single night.
Oh, that's fun.
And it was a tie between Paul and myself, and it was great because we got to pick anywhere to sleep. But at certain points, you feel bad when someone's having a bad day, and you
Yeah.
just let them sleep wherever because you're feeling fine. But it really helped show us that we can work together. We made it all the way across the country and back.
That's
We
cool.
had no van issues, no nothing too dramatic, and we were able to do it and had a blast. So
That's cool.
um, it was very important for us. Yeah,
Did you guys do it in what kind of size van?
we were in a 15 passenger, and we had a trailer with us.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah.
That's cool that you didn't have anything bad happen too, because I drove myself cross country by myself, and the first day I got a flat tire.
Oh my God.
So
Oh,
that's
that
pretty
sucks.
cool. Was
Yeah.
there anywhere along the way, obviously the shows, and then you said you stopped at a Warp Tour, but was there any other like cool little things you guys did on the trip?
Yeah, we tried making the most out of our off days. So we went to Mount Zion, like the national park
Hmm.
in Utah one day, and that's like one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful, like national park in the entire US. And it was incredible. I like, we're in New Jersey where our mountains aren't like huge. They're big, but they're
We don't
not
really
like the
have
West.
mountains.
They're not
Sure.
like the West or the Midwest, not at all. Like when for us, like the first time seeing, like I just wanted to see red rocks, like just red. Like we also went to Red Rocks too. That's a whole other thing. But I just wanted to see like actual like red rock and giant mountains, and we got to see all of that stuff. And driving through Colorado and Utah and going to Zion and stuff, we got to see wonderful, beautiful things about this country that not a lot of people know of,
That's true.
or will go to see, that are from the East Coast.
Yeah, that's really true too, because, and it's funny you said Utah, because of all the states I drove through, Utah was my favorite because it was so beautiful. Like I didn't go to that park, but I like randomly pulled off on the road and just climbed the mountain. Like I'm just gonna climb this fucking mountain. And then it went into like a plateau of flowers, and you're like, "Oh my God, Utah is beautiful." So that's
Yeah,
funny you said Utah, because that was my like most beautiful state, I would say.
yeah, and I'm planning on going back at some point with some friends to see, just to experience it and stuff. Because like that's one thing about touring is you don't really get to experience the cities that you're in. We were in LA, and I don't really remember much of it
Yeah,
because
I don't remember when you were here.
yeah, we played two shows back to back in the same day, which was stupid. Once again, very naive of us, but yeah. So we played LA for like a little bit, like we were there for just that night, and then we went to the next state, but or the next city. But yeah, California was amazing. Like that, I'm very jealous that you're there. That's like one of my favorite states because it's so beautiful.
You can come
And
and
the weather, yeah,
it's
thank you.
not right now. It's COVID. It's
Yeah, yeah. But San Diego is awesome. Like I had the best
fantastic.
burrito of my entire life in
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
Taco Factory, I think it's what it's called. It was
Oh,
so
okay.
good. Yeah, if you ever go to San Diego for any reason,
Go there.
go there. It changed my life too.
That's fine.
Um, yeah, so that was a really good spot too.
It's cool. It's funny because San Diego actually has a cool scene. I think it's better than the Los Angeles scene, which just blows my mind because like so much has happened in Los Angeles history of music. But San Diego's crowd is cool. Like I don't know if you went or you played at Soma, but Soma is a really popular venue there.
We didn't, but that's
Like
unfamiliar.
yeah, and that's a cool scene, San Diego. So that's cool you played a show in San Diego because it's definitely like more of a scene. But yeah, San Diego's cool. Yeah, so Mexican food, unbelievable in California. Trying to
Mhm.
find a good bagel or pizza, forget about it. Like,
Yeah, yeah, that's the thing. Like across the country, like you'll try different foods, and
yeah.
every state has their faults and their things to praise, So, Texas, you have great barbecue food, and we were not short of that.
That's true. That's cool too that you guys did experience that because now you have a different appreciation for traveling. Like you said, like your perception has changed. Obviously, COVID freaking sucks for the music industry. How, I guess this is like the worst because you can't really play anywhere, so you can't really promote anything. So this is gonna be kind of like a weird question. So how do you guys think you handled the situation of COVID? One, as a band, two, as your own mental health, because obviously playing music is like within, your own mental health in a sense. And then two, how has it helped transition to like the digital phase, like promoting on Instagram or whatever platform to make sure people still don't forget about you guys?
Yeah, so we actually put out an EP during and in 2020,
Mhm.
and we recorded it in December of 2019. Not obviously not expecting that to happen. So it
With
took a
full
lot.
length and posts all up, guys, go check it out. It's super, super dope. It's super cool to know, like, I know this band, and they're like good. Because sometimes when you're friends with a band and they're not good, you don't really want to like, you don't want to be mean. Like, I know
Yeah.
I have to say, I'm very specific about my music, and I'm very proud of my musical taste. And I will say, you guys are super rad. Like, people need to go check.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we had to put out this EP during this horrible shit year, and the it took a lot of Google meetings, because the record was done. We were doing mixing and mastering throughout the first half of 2020, and preparing like the artwork and stuff, and the entire like social media plan. So luckily, we were able to get the photo, like the album cover, like that was shot. That photo was shot the weekend right before COVID, like
Oh,
the world shut down.
shut
It
down.
was it was like the second weekend of or that happened, and then the next weekend that was it. That was it.
Shit.
So we're
That's
like, okay, good, we
good
got that.
timing.
Yeah, we got that. We're good. But yeah, this I keep saying this year because it's not 2020 anymore. But
Pretty much an
so
extension.
yeah, it's an extension. So I mean, a lot of what we've had to do is just adapt our release plan to be on social media and only social media. And we had like a release show plan, a whole tour planned. Like I've been planning stuff since like January of 2020, and like we thought the record would come out in June, but we had to push it back because there's so much going on in the world, and it ended up coming out in November. It seemed like the best time for it. Um, but yeah, we had to adapt, and like we started to build a team, like an art department almost. And our friends Paul, Sophia, Alex, and Kelly were a huge help in putting this record together and getting the
Shout out to
social
them.
media plan. Yeah, we love them. They're an extended family of the band at this point, and Alex is like the photographer we took on tour with us, so we got to know him through that tour, which is another
Oh,
reason why
that's
it was
cool.
so important. Yeah. Um, so yeah, we had to do a photo shoot all socially distanced. That's why like all of our photos are just individual.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That so good thing you said that. That was one of
yeah,
my
yeah, we couldn't do like a normal photo shoot standing next to each other. So we're like, all right, let's use this as a like, let's make lemonade out of these lemons and we'll make the best of it. And that's
yeah.
what we had to do. The photo shoot was awful. Like it was such a
Oh,
horrible, like it was a hot day. It was 2 hot days, and we tried doing a bunch of different themes in our photo shoots, and it was it was tough because we thought we'd get it done in one day, and it was like 99 degrees that day, and definitely reached like 100 something that day. But it was brutal. We can only do it outside, and after that photo shoot, we're like, okay, we're never doing like a summer shoot ever again. Like we're never doing that. Um, so that was tricky. And then doing like all the little like visualettes that we've put together for these songs. Like we had to get creative and step out of the box for that as well. And yeah, just using the tools that we have at hand. And yeah, so we put together like a social media plan all together on Zoom. We'd meet up every once a week and just talk about it, and then up until the release, hype it up, and then after the release, there's only so much you can do. I mean, we're still doing some social media promotion, but I've noticed that it's like the hype of it has dropped significantly. And if we were playing shows, it would still be there, which is why we're seeing like the whole, you know, it's super important to to play shows and promote your music. And that's why tours happen after the release. And I've noticed in 2020, a lot of artists will put out new albums and they'll do really well for like the first week or couple weeks or so. And then they just tank. Like no one cares anymore. There's the next artist that puts out the next thing, and there's really no shows to look forward to. So you're not like looking forward to seeing that album that just came out live. And, at first I'm like no, like freaking out because we're not seeing as much traction on our record. And then
yeah.
I'm like starting to realize like, okay, we have to adapt again because there's no can't play shows, no one's going to be able to hear it, and you can't spread the word through that. So you have to use social media. So right now we're in like the phase of transitioning into that as well, and trying to utilize different things. Like TikTok is huge, obviously, and I'm having fun with it because it gets to push my creativity. But our band has an account too, and Chris and Paul are in charge of that, and they
We'll
actually
tag
just moved
it
in.
down here.
Yeah, yeah.
But also for people that just listen to the podcast, do you want to say what the TikTok is?
Yeah, so I mean, all of our social media handles are at AB&J Band. Um, yeah, so you can follow us on every form of social media. And if you want to message us, it's usually me that's answering. So
There you go.
um,
Here he
yeah,
is, flesh and blood. Well, in the virtual flesh.
yeah. So yeah, so we're trying to push ourselves into like TikTok and stuff, and um, different forms of social media. So
Nice. So do you think that, so for me, I only ask this because I guess, I can only speak for myself, but for me who attended concerts and that was my form of release, I can honestly say in my life, music has saved my life. I went through really, really dark times and dark shit and like contemplated doing some dark shit. So music really saved my life. So for you who makes music, how was it when COVID happened and really stopped your whole artistic outlet and, career in that sense? How did that affect yourself?
so it really affected my mental health, because playing concerts and seeing them was a huge release for me. Um, and I used to go to shows. I used to play and go to shows at least 4 times a month, if not more.
Yeah.
And that's like such a huge part of who I am and such a huge part of what I do. And my relationship with my friends and my girlfriend revolves around going to these concerts. And, that's like our date nights or our nights going out with friends. Like that was what we did. And without that, it just, I don't know, it just completely took a part of who I am and who my friends are and everything. And taking that away has just been awful. I it just really makes you think about your relationships with people and just like what you need as a person. And that release that you get at a concert is more important to me now than it's ever been.
Mhm.
And like as soon as we can go back to shows again, I don't think I'm gonna go a weekend without seeing a show. Like I
Yeah.
have to.
It like makes you like you it's like not that we took it for granted, but like I guess, like we never thought there would ever be a time where we couldn't go to shows. So you're right, like savor that moment even more.
Yeah, and I feel like the first few shows that are like close to normal, or at least very normal, are going to be fucking crazy. Like people
Yeah.
just have this, like I'm
Pent up.
sure so many people have so much pent up energy they need to get out,
Yeah.
and that's what comes out when you're seeing shows and like moshing and stuff too, like all of that, you know.
Do you think though that the fact that you had to channel your energy into like figuring out like, okay, how's a boy named John gonna like take this moment and seize it kind of helped you distract yourself? And then also have you guys ever thought about doing, lives? Because I know like Taking Back Sunday does some Instagram lives, and Bring Me the Horizon did that whole series of like what it was like recording in a pandemic. Do you guys think that have you guys ever thought about doing those implements, or maybe like a Zoom kind of party or something?
So we've talked about doing like live shows, and we did do like Instagram live, like little performances, because Chris and Paul live together because they're brothers, and they're able to hold it on their own, just the acoustic performances. But like after a while, those got kind of lame. Not as many people were attending Facebook live streams or Instagram live streams. I mean,
Yeah.
um, so like for us, it doesn't make sense because like doing a full band Instagram or any sort of live stream,
Yeah, it's a
um,
little
it's a lot of money and no return, and we're not big enough to the point where we can do it where it makes sense. Right now it doesn't really make sense. Plus like we couldn't rehearse. We can't rehearse anywhere.
yeah.
So that's another factor, because we're all separated right now because some of our family members are immunocompromised and immunocompromised. Um, and we don't want to take that risk, so it's been kind of tough. But we're trying to 2021. We have plans that we're gonna somewhat like try to meet up.
Yeah.
Um, we're gonna try and do a drive-through or drive-in show. Yeah,
Oh, that'll be
drive-in show, not
cool.
drive-through. Yeah, so
Nice.
we have a connection with a venue that wants to do it really badly with us and a few other bands, and it's all talk right now because it's still January.
Yeah.
But
But that's
we're
awesome.
confident. Yeah, confident. Maybe in the springtime or summertime. Like we definitely want to play at least one. Like
One,
I just
yeah.
we need that because
Building, yeah.
it's killing all of us. Like it's just the fun of being in a band is like the show.
I wanted to really touch on that because, like, I'm like a fan of music, so it kills me. But I can only imagine to put emphasis on like the musicians. Like, holy shit! Like their whole world literally got turned upside down, and it's nobody's fault. But you're right. Like 2021, it's gonna get better. There's some vaccines going out. I think Jersey's a little more lenient than California's restrictions, so you got that in your favor.
Yeah.
Everyone's trying to be safe. We're promoting safeness, but we just really want the scene to come back. So like, we're rooting for it.
Yeah, I'm still really hurt by the fact that okay, so I came late to the MyChem party. Like
Oh,
I didn't really listen to their music until I joined the band. I know it's horrible.
shit.
Like I
What?
know.
How can
I
we
was
be friends?
I was stuck in metalcore world like my entire like high school life until I got into this band, and they're like, "Hey, do you like MyChem?" And I was like, "Who?" And they're like,
You didn't
that's
even
like
know
our
who they
big."
were?
I did. I
Oh,
did. I didn't listen to their music though. Like
oh
at the
my,
time, I didn't.
that
And
is a mind blown situation right now.
yeah, so like I'm not a fake emo kid. I'm just a different emo kid.
Emo kid, yeah. You're more of like the hardcore
um,
emo kid.
yeah, and so yeah, they're like, oh, My Chem is like our biggest inspiration. You have to listen to them. So like through being in the band, I became a huge My Chem fan. But so that being said, this upcoming their tour that the reunion tour that I was going to go, that was planned for 2020 got obviously canceled, and then
You had tickets to it? I couldn't even get tickets to it.
I got GA tickets.
I would get any ticket I could to it. Holy shit.
I do have an extra for I think it's the same night in Prudential.
Well, you let me know. My bitch ass is
Yeah.
I like You heard it here first. You technically offered it, I'm gonna assume.
Yes. So yeah, let me know. Well, hopefully that can happen. But I'm still so upset. And like a lot of my friends who've never seen them before, like that was gonna be their first time as well as me. And we were like hyped up for this because 2019 they announced it, and we're like, oh my god, this is gonna happen next year. Oh my god! And then that fell apart. And then also Rage Against the Machine and Run the Jewels were supposed to go on tour together.
Oh my god, yes. And like honestly, the most one that hit me the hardest, I got a tattoo for him. Rest in peace, Chris Cornell. And like the closest you're gonna get to Chris Cornell is Tom, and like Rage and Tom,
Yeah.
and like the mashup, like Audio Slave, like everything is basically in Rage now. Like that's all we have. So like,
I know. And I also became like a huge Run the Jewels fan, like over COVID, like over the course of the pandemic. I've just been listening to a lot of Run the Jewels, and like I didn't know that Zach was featured on a bunch of their songs, and like he should just start a rap band or like rap like his own rap career because he's
he
so
really
good.
should. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
It's even
so good.
crazy that he came back because like we never thought that would ever happen. Like
Yeah.
the reason why they never toured anymore. Like, holy shit. I feel you because I'm super salty. I had 3 major concerts that I already had tickets for. I tried to get my chem completely sold out here. Like I had no chance. I also tried to get Pearl Jam, I want to say. Yeah, Pearl Jam, and I couldn't get it either. But I had Green Day, and it was Green Day, Weezer, and Fall Out Boy. And I've seen Fall Out Boy and Weezer, but I've never seen Green Day yet. And so I was finally going to see Green Day for the first time in my life. And that shit got fucking through the fan. And it was going to be an iconic concert because it was at Dodger Stadium, which I have never been to a concert there. So you just think like Elton John, Dodger Stadium.
Yeah.
And then 2, I had, okay, so I'm like a glam metal, like 80s chick. So I've seen Motley Crue tons of times. It's like me and my mom's thing, like we have tattoos for them. But I saw Motley Crue retire in LA, which is like where their home base.
Yeah. That's
I went
crazy.
to the final tour. So then they're finally coming back, and I had tickets to the first show of the tour. And and it was gonna be in the new stadium. So then that got canceled. Well, postponed.
Yeah.
And then the one that's really heartbreaking because they actually canceled it, they didn't postpone it, was Bayside's 20th anniversary of an album. And oh
yeah.
that one really kills me.
Yeah.
So I feel you on the salt. It's like I'm so fucking salty about it. Like I had crazy concerts.
Yeah. So there was another like show that was supposed to. It was like our. Okay, so we had a show booked that was booked at the Asbury Park Brewery for the release for do you know the band Hodera?
No, I don't actually.
They're amazing, like indie folk rock band.
Okay,
I guess. But really tight with them.
Oh,
They were planning on having a release. Can you hear me?
yep.
Am I good?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah. They were they had a release show planned at the brewery, and that place can hold around like 200 something people, I think. Maybe. I don't think it even can, but I think they're pushing it. And we were supposed to be like the middle band. There was another band called Halogens that was going to open up the night, and that show was sold out. Like it sold out within a weekend. And that show was on my fucking birthday, and I was so hyped for it. And they had to cancel it. And it just broke our hearts. We knew that show was going to be such a crazy fucking show. Like
it's your birthday,
and it's my birthday. Like it was a Friday night. I haven't had a birthday on a Friday in years. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna like play our set and then just get hammered after that. We're gonna go around like Asbury and have a lot of fun and stuff. And like that didn't happen.
And Asbury has like had a whole rejuvenation of music scene, so it's like, oh man, that's super rough.
Yeah, we're like an honorary Asbury Park band now too.
Oh
like,
really? That's awesome.
Yeah, like we've gotten so close with the Asbury Park scene. We played there like enough times for people to know who we are. And Jersey's so interesting. Like it's such a tiny state, but it's so dense with music scenes, and because the population is so big. Like North Jersey has its own scene.
Like, really cares too.
Yeah, like North Jersey has its own music scene. New Brunswick, like Rutgers, New Brunswick basement scene is a whole other monster. South Jersey, and then even like Asbury, I still consider like central-ish South Jersey, I guess, because it is far, but not that far compared to like Tom's River or like
Yeah.
Cape May and all that stuff. So,
Which
yeah. So,
if you guys are a big Asbury band, then you might know my friend Jeff. Or I'm pretty sure you probably would know him over the years. Jeff.
oh yeah, yeah. I know Jeff. Yeah.
Yeah, he I actually just did a podcast with him, but he became the house photographer for Stone Pony and Starland.
Yeah, that's so cool. Everybody knows him.
Yeah,
He took a bunch of photos of us. I think it was when we played Starland for the first time, and House of Independence at one point as well.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah. So kind of on a lighter note, because COVID sucks and we don't want to be spending too much time on talking about stuff that sucks. But I think it's really cool though that you guys have found a way to kind of like redistribute your mindset to be like, okay, like let's just focus on like TikToks and social media. Like that's really cool. And you're right, like you said, like kind of keeps your like artistic flow kind of going. Like you can kind of divert it there for the time being. And so that's really cool. So now just kind of like a rapid fire of like quick questions.
Sure.
And then I do want to talk to you about being a marketing coordinator. So obviously you joined A Boy Named John when they were already kind of established, but do you know why it's called A Boy Named John?
Yeah. So I don't know if you remember in middle school, the band teacher, Mr. Sangiovanni.
Oh, yeah.
So really early in like when the band wasn't even an idea, I guess. So Josh and our former drummer Brian wanted to start a band. They wanted to get a singer, and they didn't have the equipment to do that. So they were always really close with him, with Mr. Sangiovanni. And one day they came up to him and he was like, "Hey, like, do you have any advice on like good equipment for vocals and stuff, like a good PA system?" And he's like, yeah, come by after school and we'll talk, and I'll give you, we can talk about it. So they came by after school one day, and he opens up a closet and like full of PA equipment, and he's like, "That's all yours. Take it. Start your band." And his name is John.
Oh.
And he's always been like, I don't know if you know him well, but he's just like very lively, very young at heart type of guy. Very like he's just always for the kids. He's a great dude. And we thought like that would be, a homage to him. It'd be to name the band after him. So our singer Chris came up with A Boy Named John, and then it kind of stuck. And then
I feel like I might have slightly heard this story in high school, but not really knowing the story. And oh my God, like so sweet.
Yeah. And we played his retirement party and stuff, which is pretty cool. Like seeing teachers get drunk.
Yeah. Is he still like pretty, like you guys are all pretty close with him still?
Yeah, we talk every once in a while. I had to do an interview for him, with him for one of my my college classes back a couple years ago, which I still have like the whole interview and stuff. I want to keep it,
Yeah, keep it. That's awesome.
Yeah, so he's the man, and yeah, so that's where the song, that's where the band name comes from.
That's awesome. Okay, and then biggest show you've played of crowd wise.
Biggest show would have to be that Never Shout Never Metro Station show. We've never we joked about it. It was like, oh, what if we got that show? That'd be so funny. And then we got offered it and we're like, fuck, we have to take it. Like that shit would have been crazy. I think that was maybe 1,400 people or something there.
Nice.
And that was like, we sold enough. There were so many bands on that bill. It was insane. It was like 8 bands, but we sold more tickets than every other band on the bill. Cause we were tight with Mike, and we were like, we have to do them well. So they put us right before water parks, and that's when everyone got to the show. So like it was starting to pack in while we were playing. So that was like the biggest show. And one thing that we were like stoked that we did, we covered Car Radio by 21 Pilots.
Oh, smart.
And that whole crowd like is all into 21 Pilots, and we played that, and we stole everybody's hearts. Our merch line was huge after that. After our set, it was crazy. Nice. And we've made so many fans and like really, really close friends from that show. And
That's awesome.
It's like that show changed. That was like the best Starland show we've ever played, and we didn't expect it because we kind of joked that it would be kind of a joke, but you know.
Yeah, that's so funny. I mean, also I have another little nugget. I actually, before 21 Pilots was like 21 Pilots, they were like known, you know, like a local, well, not local, but like a lower end band, just kind of like getting their feet wet. And they opened for, at the time, I think it was when I first moved to California. They opened for Panic at the Disco, and then the headliner was Fall Out Boy. So crazy fucking tour. And
Oh wow.
and because it was like in San Diego, it was like I don't know, it was like San Diego, and it was crazy. There was like 4 hours of traffic. I was like super pissed in my car, like fuck, I'm gonna miss the show. We barely made it for 21 Pilots, like, and we're kind of still like in the anxiety of like being almost late. And they go on, and we didn't know who they were, me and my girlfriend, and we're like looking at each other like, this is like a moment in history. Like, this band rocked the fucking socks off everybody, right? And you're like, never heard of them yet, and you're like, holy shit. And then I worked at Hot Topic, and we started kind of playing them, and I was like, I just saw this band. And then all of a sudden the next year Blurry Face came out, and fucking shit was on fire. Like, holy.
Yeah. I remember finding out about them through, I think it was just like I think it was the car radio music video was just like viral on YouTube. And I remember seeing it and was like, this is not my style, but this is really cool. Like I was like guilty in being a metalcore, like elitist type person. So I like couldn't get into them. And then I saw them perform at the APMAs, and they had the old screamer of Issues on, and he like which is crazy, like that he screamed with 21 Pilots is nuts.
I know.
And then from there I was like, oh, this is sick. I got into them, and then I like was a fan before like Blurryface dropped, and then I was like enjoying like that whole release before it came out, and then they blew up. Like I guess it was within the next year, because like what was it? Stressed Out came out, and that just like blew up.
Holy shit. Isn't that so great?
Yeah.
Actually, it's funny you said that, like, Issues playing with them, because going back to earlier when we were talking about when Linkin Park played the California date, the coolest thing they did was every song they brought up a different band that was on the Warped Tour card. So so like Ryan Key from Yellow Card was on a song. The Day to Remember came out. It was like the coolest thing. Like, wow, Linkin Park's bringing these other members of bands on. Like, it was cool. But okay, and then,
Go ahead.
You go first.
No, I was gonna say I think I watched all of those, all those videos.
So good, dude.
The best one was
so
Faint,
shitty.
like definitely Faint. Like when they brought out the Issues members, that was the best one.
That was cool. And that was when the old member Issues was still in, the Michael guy. Like prime Issues days, I want to say, it's my opinion.
Yeah.
But yeah, dude, so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
Your favorite show you've played would be?
So probably I'm trying to remember. So the Canvas Clash changed to become Boon Tunes, which is the newer name for it. And that's like our home venue because it's in Boonton and we're in Parsippany. We've played a ton of shows. I can't pick out one because they're all so special to me, but like every show that we play there, that's like we pretty much sell it out every time.
Oh, that's cool.
Every time we play it, it's like, it's fun. It's like the most fun like we have as a band playing live, because it's all of our friends there, our family, everyone is packed in there like sardines, and everybody knows every single word. And the owner of the place knows our lighting, like he knows our songs front to back, so he just knows how to make the lighting look great. And like those shows are always the sweatiest, the most aggressive, the most fun. Like,
that's cool.
Anytime we play Boon Tunes, it's my favorite show. So
nice. Okay, I think that's a good, like, now let's talk about how you became a marketing coordinator and how do you like that experience?
Cool. So obviously COVID has ruined the job market for many musicians. So I've been looking for jobs for a while, looking at different record labels to join, or because I did intern at Atlantic for a couple of years. And
oh, that's dope.
Yeah, that was a great experience. And they weren't hiring because obviously this is like the beginning of COVID, and I was looking since January of last year up until September of 2020.
Yeah.
So just applying to jobs every day, like getting up early to make sure I can at least get a few applications in and like at least doing some research. And a good like I reached out to a really really good friend of mine who's also really close with the band. He used to manage us back in the day. His name is Ryan, and he works for this company called Retail Solutions, and they're part of it's very big umbrella company that they work with. It's based in Oakland, New Jersey, and it's like a warehouse. It's a warehouse for musical instruments, and essentially like the company works with brands to get their marketing through Amazon and just basically like they work with the company works with a lot of it's all music brands, all audio gear, stuff like that. So my friend reached out to me because he's been working there for a few years, and or I reached out to him, I mean, and I was like, hey Ryan, like I'm struggling to find a job. I remember you talking about like there might be a position open. Is there anything available right now? And he's like, yeah, there's actually something right that just popped up. Like we might need you like ASAP. Can you work immediately? And I was like, yes, I'm doing nothing. Like I'm working at School of Rock, which is great. Like, but I need like a more full-time job. So I still work at School of Rock too. But
Well, we should say you do teach and you do lessons.
yeah, yeah, I teach
Anyone
lessons.
wants some lessons, hit your boy up.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, so I really needed a job, and he helped me out at a really tough time, and I've been working there for almost I think I'm at 4 months now, so I'm still pretty new. But it's cool. I get to work with like brands like Sabian cymbals. I get to work with other like guitar pedal companies, other big microphone companies. I don't know if I'm allowed to say any of these
Oh,
on the
no.
podcast, but yeah, like work with all these really big brands that I I used all the time when I was playing shows or like just recording music. So
That's super
um,
dope, and what a full circle
yeah,
for you to be like in a band career, but then also like your other job is still involving everything that entitles a band to use.
yeah, it's crazy how much like I could have not gone to college and just said I was in a band and did all of these things that I'm doing, and I probably would still get the job. But
Yeah.
having a college degree is important and all that stuff. But the internships were
And
great
you
too.
did it. You did it.
Yeah. So
What was your major in college?
music business, essentially.
Oh, nice. I was business, so pretty close.
Yeah, yeah. Nice. Yeah, I went to William Patterson for two
Oh,
years. But before that, I was at Ramapo for another 2 years.
oh, dude, both really good colleges. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it was two different types of schools. Like Ramapo is very punk rock because you don't have to audition to be a music major.
Okay.
Um, but William Patterson, you have to. So like you have two different styles of musicians there, two different mindsets, I guess you can say. So that was good, and I got to meet a lot of great friends at Ramapo, and then also at William Patterson. So
That's cool too. You
um,
had both sides. Like you had the like anxiety of having to try out in a sense, and then you had the like non-anxiety of like, oh, we're all cool.
yeah, yeah. But
That's cool to also
William,
say 'cause I never knew that was a thing. So that's pretty cool you brought that up.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, just I guess since we're on the topic, like I got to intern for a few companies. So under Warner, I got to intern under ADA, which is like a music distribution company.
Oh, dope.
So like they work with like Rise Records and a bunch of other like artists that are paying for their services.
Yeah. Dude,
Um,
that's awesome.
yeah, so it was crazy. I got to like watch a lot of these really big records come out. I'm trying to remember a few off the top of my head, but I think one was I think of Mice and Men put out a record at the time.
Okay.
Dance Gavin Dance, I think, put out a record. Um, I know there's one artist that I love now. His name is Stormzy. He's a UK hip hop.
Oh, I've heard of him. Yeah, yeah.
He's dope, but his like debut record came out through that company, and I got to like watch that whole thing happen too.
Dude, that's incredible. So you interned there, you interned at Atlanta. That's like where, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other company is still under Warner, but this one was like more into Atlantic, and it was Canvasback Records, and they have Alt J, they have Oh my God, there's so many artists I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's been a while since they've been in my head, but yeah, Alt J is like the biggest one. Group Love is another big artist that they have. To like watch those records come out too, and like be a part of that. And I was doing A&R there, so I was scouting bands and artists and trying to put shows together for the A&R person to come out, which was really cool too.
Dude, that's
Um,
super dope. Like, I
yeah,
that even like obviously like what you learn in college and then working at your internships and then now your current job of doing the marketing, like that just helps your band. Like that's incredible.
yeah, exactly. And like I'm going into that with that thought in the back of my head. I'm like, okay, this is good for me too, but also like, if I can get these people to see my band too, that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
And like get to network with them. But I think my favorite internship was with the band Paris.
Mm-hmm.
I interned with their management company
Oh, cool.
for like a couple semesters. Yeah, that was an amazing experience. Their former team, it's a different team now, but they were it was just so much fun. I got to watch a record release cycle start and end,
That
and it was
not a lot of bands have that like real experience. So that's
yeah.
wow, like mind blown.
Yeah, it was great, and they just put out a record in 2020 it's so fucking good. It's like my favorite album from them. But yeah, that band just keeps getting so much better and bigger. I'm stoked I got to be a part of it a little bit, so
Yeah,
that's
dude,
cool.
that's incredible. And then I feel like an internship is so cool because I mean, of course, like obviously, like I know who you are, like you're a typical dude, but like your connection to people, like people will, like remember you and like then down the line you'll be like, oh wait, I have a connection with this record label, or like let me try to see if this person, like your whole experience of like it's just a fucking full circle. That's pretty crazy. Like that's awesome to know that like you had really rad, dope opportunities in college because not everyone has that experience.
Yeah, and a lot of it I got lucky, or I worked hard to get some of those things too, and just saying the right things helps. Like I think I only got that the internship with Paris because when I was at ADA, ADA was working with Paris at the time,
Okay.
and I said to one of the people that worked there, who's now a good friend of mine, I was like, "Yo, I love Paris. This is great." He's like, "Oh, we work with their management, really, really close with them. If you're looking for another internship down the line, they might have something in for you. So I'll link you guys up." And from there, I got the internship. So it's pretty crazy. It's just everything's about networking and becoming friends with people.
Yeah. And it really shows like a full circle of the music community. I mean, at least I guess in New Jersey, that like everyone is really there to just like kind of help you in a sense.
Yeah, definitely. And like we're trying to collab with more artists because it's fun, like you can only I don't know, we're a six-piece band, but there's room for everyone else too. So we've been trying to do that more. And we have our first feature that we ever did on our EP that just came out. Check out Man Dancing because the singer of Man Dancing played or sang on our song.
Mhm.
Man Dancing put out a record the same day as ours.
Oh,
So it was a very big day for New Jersey. Twitter
yeah.
was blowing up and stuff, so it was really cool to see that.
Mhm.
But yeah, we're hoping as soon as we can play shows again, we're gonna do something with them because like it just makes a lot of sense, and we're just good friends with them too. So
Is there any other collaborations in the works that you can talk about? Or
um
like future you would like to have a collaboration with?
yeah, so there's a few that are in talks right now. So one is with this other band called The Living Strange, and they're like Arctic Monkeys meets like St. Vincent meets like I don't know, they're crazy. They're fucking great band.
Mhm.
Um, we just did some drum stuff with them, but we're also planning on doing a whole other song, like a collab, like just where both bands actually work together on stuff. And we also are talking to like another one of our friends who's from Parsippany too.
Oh,
Um, do you remember like Denzel Chambers, Lionel Chambers?
oh
Do you
yeah.
remember them?
Mhm.
So they have a younger brother, Noel, whose music is blowing up right now. It's crazy. He's got like 300,000 plus monthly listeners on Spotify. Like he's doing really well. Um, so we're working. His artist name is Rice, Ryce.
Okay.
We're in talks of doing stuff with them, but it hasn't really gone anywhere yet. But we have a bunch of people in mind that we want to work with.
Oh, that's
Um,
nice.
yeah,
And then, so we obviously have that to look forward to. And with your current job, the marketing coordinator, I bet that also helps you kind of get your mind off like the COVID situation and not being able to play, because at least you're still surrounded by music. And so,
yeah, absolutely. And it's like using my brain in more of a I would say like a more organized, fundamental way, whereas doing stuff with the band is a little more abstract, I guess. And like this is like very business centric, so it's good because I'm picking up so many marketing skills that I didn't realize that I needed. And yeah, it's been 4 months of and like intense learning, but it's been great. Like my coworkers are great. I haven't really met them like in person yet, which is pretty nuts. Um, but I'm looking forward to meeting them and like actually like spending time with people in the office when that time comes. So
that's so
looking forward to it.
awesome. Congrats too for getting that job. That's
Thank
awesome.
you. Thank you so much.
I feel like also too that like because you said earlier in the this episode that you do a lot of the like managing part for the band too, so that skill just goes hand in hand as well. So your
Yeah, absolutely.
whole circle of life of careers just is like all coming back together.
Yeah. Everything I told myself too, like when I was applying to colleges and stuff, like my parents weren't comfortable about me going into the music industry until I joined the band because I saw how much like passion that I had for it. Um, so like I've always told myself like no matter what I do, it has to have music. Like it's the only thing I know that I'm good at. Like I have to stick with it. So that's what I'm trying to do. And like maybe if I'm not at this job forever, maybe it'll be somewhere else where it's also music centric. But only time will tell. And I'm enjoying myself where I am, but
That's
we'll see.
That's cool. And also too, real quick, because you touched on it. So did you always have support from your family in this process, or did that kind of come after they saw like you're more successful at it?
So definitely like my parents have been extremely supportive throughout my endeavors, my musical endeavors and everything. They question it at times like any other parent, but they've been amazing. Like I can't thank them enough. And they're always there to get my back and help me out when things are really tough. So I can't seriously can't thank them enough.
That's awesome. And then also too, we obviously talked about Boy Named John's musical genres. What are your personal musical influences?
So it's changed a lot. So I remember when I was like in like the Nick that you knew in high school, like if you played rap near me, I would be pissed about it. Or like any pop music I hated at the time. Now that's all I listen to pretty much. Like I'll dive back into like old bands and stuff too, but I've been listening to a lot of UK hip hop lately for some reason. I've just been digging their sound. Um, and pop music and stuff I've been digging into a lot. And I mean, like the new Bring Me record it's insane. That album is so good.
I think it's cool too, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, but the fact that you guys are experimenting with different sounds, I think Bring Me is the best example. They started so completely different from where they are now, and it's working. Every album works for me.
Yeah, they're my favorite band. They've always been my favorite band since I was like in eighth grade, I guess. And them being my favorite band has been so influential because they're a band that hasn't tanked. Like there are some bands that I liked, I'm sure like in your metalcore phase, like there's some that are like they're not good anymore or they don't do anything interesting anymore. But like that was always my favorite band. I'm stoked that they've progressively gotten better, you know. Um,
It's
so just watching them has been a huge influence on me. So
that's really cool too, because you're right, like they've evolved, and you're kind of like you're saying you're evolving as well.
yeah, and it feels good. Like I caught onto something like really early that just did really well. Like, you know.
And
Um,
those are the days where people like mainstream didn't like Bring Me, but like the scene liked Bring Me, and now mainstream loves Bring Me.
yeah, it's very different now for them. So I have a question for you because
Okay.
like for me, I'll ask you. So like it's pretty obvious that's the first band I would see if like when the world opens back up, it'd be them and My Chem, just because like that has to happen. What about for you?
Like if I had to choose like anyone, like just
Like if you can just go to a show and it would be normal and everything would be fun again, like what is the first artist that you would see?
it's so hard. That's hard. I guess I would have to say, in a perfect world. Oh, that's hard because there's so many good new albums that came out this year. But I guess I would say, mine maybe two. Mine are tied. I would say The Use and A Day to Remember, but also Bring Me's new. I just love Bring Me too. But like The Use for like the meaning of this moment right now because they would play like they'll play this tattoo song and it'll mean
Oh, that's right.
and then like that moment, but then A Day to Remember because like I don't know, I can listen to A Day to Remember and not listen to them for so long and I just get this like fire in me that's like, oh my gosh, like. But then I feel like I don't know, there's so many new good albums. It's a hard one because like Bring Me's new album was great, All Time Low's new album was great. I'm really into Spirit Box right now.
They're
um
cool too. Yeah, I've known about them for a quite I think a long. I don't know if I'm thinking of the same band. No, no. Yeah, I remember finding out about them like a long time ago. But yeah, they just got signed to Rise too, which is pretty
Yeah,
dope.
so I've been really jamming them. That's a hard question. It's hard because I would go to any concert. Like even if it was like someone I liked one song, I would just go to any concert right now.
Hmm.
Oh, also probably Census Fails. Like that's just OG Jersey to me. So that would be another one like I would have to go to. But that's a good question. It's a really I'm have to
Yeah,
think.
I always ask like my friends and like everyone's feeling down about it. I'm like, all right, well, what's the first show you'd go back to? What like if anyone was playing right now, who would you go see?
That's a hard one because it's like,
Yeah, so
but that's a good one. Okay, so then any like last parting advice for anyone watching or listening, and then anything you'd like to plug?
sure. So right now, obviously, it's crazy. Everything in the world is seems like it's falling apart. So I think my only piece of advice is to, really reach out to your friends and talk to your loved ones and stay connected. Reach out to old friends like what we're doing now, and people are really what are going to get you through this whole time, and finding something that you love as well, like doing something that you feel like you can grow and I don't know, something fun. Do something fun. I think that's I think my other piece of advice too. So
Nice. And then we obviously know that A Boy Named John can't tour, but we can find you guys on Spotify. I'm sure iTunes, like everywhere.
yeah.
Instagram.
Mhm. Yeah, so our new EP, This Is Lost and It Will Pass, is out now. A lot of work went into it over the course of this pandemic, but um, the songs are sound great, and we had a lot of fun doing it. And yeah, you can check us out. We're on all social media, and that you can find that EP anywhere. So
Nice. And thank you so much for taking your time. I really appreciate it. I know like it's not the same not being in person, but Zoom, at least we got Zoom. So thank you so much. Guys, you have to check them out. A Boy Named John. And yeah, and then also check out your personal profile, Nick Spiller. And then
yep,
also too, we gotta have you come back and do a Warp Tour special.
I'm down for that. Thank you for having me. This has been a lot of fun.
Of course, yeah, it was so fun to just I didn't know all that stuff about your internships and just like the history, so that's super dope. So
Cool, cool.
well, bye guys. Thank you.
Bye.